I'm Michelle from the Aram Public Library. Today on Fiber Fun, we're going to talk about mending, and we're going to repair a small hole in an antique tablecloth. Join me. So we're set up to begin our mending. What we're going to do is I'm going to take some fusible interfacing. This is a lightweight, and I am going to trim it. Here's our hole right here. You can see that right here. And what I want to do is I want to stop this fraying from happening. You can see that there's other tiny holes here, but I just want to stop this larger one. So I'm going to take some scissors and just cut a small piece of interfacing to go around the hole, and I'm making it a circle so there aren't any sharp edges to grab. And I'll take that over to the ironing board and I'll be right back. Okay, I have applied the interfacing. So this is my right side. You can see that it's somewhat solid right here, and you can see the interfacing on the back. Now, the reason we've done that is to stop the hole or the wearing. This is a vintage tablecloth from my husband's mother, and we're just trying to get a bit more wear out of it. It is very threadbare in parts, and you can see that there are stains that we have not been able to remove. Perhaps that'll be a future program. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking a small pair of embroidery scissors, and I'm just going to gently insert them in here. I want to trim around the threadbare pieces of the tablecloth where it's been running. To make a clean hole here. Now, I have an option. I can either just do a running stitch around, or I can take the sewing machine with a very small zigzag stitch and go around in that. Let's talk a little bit about supplies. So I have 3 different scissors here. I have my sewing scissors for cutting the interfacing and the fabric, and then my embroidery and smaller scissors for cutting thread. So I'm going to cut out a piece of our yellow fabric. And I am going to trim this after we are finished sewing. And I'm going to pin this in place with a few sewing needles, sewing pins, so I can keep everything from getting bunched up. And I am working from the top of the tablecloth. So remember, when we set this up, we put the interfacing on the back, which you can see right here. So we're going to sew from the front. Now, I decided I was going to hand sew this. I have my needle threaded, and I have put a small knot in the fabric. And I have put a small knot in the thread. And what I'm going to do is just do a whip stitch, which is a small, tiny stitch through through our patch fabric and the top of our tablecloth. And I feel like I don't need a thimble for this, but I'm just going around tiny, picking up the edge. Don't you hate when this happens? Your thread gets stuck on the pin. Picking up the edge of the trimmed hole on the tablecloth and just on the other side. And that will adhere our patched material to the main tablecloth. So I've reached the beginning, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to not tie this from the front. I'm going to reverse, and you can see the shape and the mend. And then I'm going to put a small knot here and tie that in the rear, and then just put my needle through a few of the stitches so it doesn't come undone. And then I'll trim it. And then I'm carefully going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim around. So take your scissors and trim around the patch without catching any of the original tablecloth. Once again, we don't want any sharp corners or edges here. You can see the original, oops, got a little string right there. You can see our original work where we put in place the fusible interfacing, and then we added the patch. And here it is from the front. Can you see it? Right here. So when the tablecloth is on the table, you might not be able to distinguish it right away. So that is our repair on our vintage tablecloth.